Hello, everyone. I'm Sean.
This is Hoon.
We are the Courageour Frights coming back with another movie review. So,
Yes.
since it's Halloween time, we decided to watch a couple horror movies and then give our thoughts on them.
Yeah, I think I'm probably a little unique, different viewpoint on here since you're living in Japan. I live in the United States, so
Yep. Yeah.
we picked the
So,
Japanese movies and American
yes.
movie
Uh,
remake.
right. So, we chose Dark Water.
Yes.
There's a 2002 Japanese movie and a 2005 American remake. So,
Yes.
I think we're going to talk about the Japanese one first.
Yeah. And just kind of maybe compare and see what the differences actually are between these two, because I don't think too many people have done that really. Maybe I haven't watched YouTube enough to do that, but
I'm sure somebody has, but
yeah.
this one's not as well known as something like The Ring or The Grudge or
Yeah, The
something.
Grudge. Those are the two big ones. So we've picked what kind of a different film that's a little bit not as well known, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'll talk about the 2002 film, the Japanese film that started it all.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess our main character you kind of could see was it Yoshimi Matsubara.
Yeah. Yoshimi's the mother main character.
Yeah, she's the main character. So you kind of see her backstory a little bit. At least when the first opening scenes, it shows like a little girl kind of just in a elementary school or something. I think it's an elementary school or school, just kind of by herself.
Yeah, it's like kindergarten or something.
Yeah, kindergarten, and it starts off from there, which you find out that's Yoshimi Matsubara. I don't know if it actually, if I can't remember if it actually tells you right away, but you kind of figure that's what it is.
Hmm.
And then the next scene it kind of shows is like her talking, her to like a lawyer. I don't know if it's like a you're talking to her lawyers or talking to like custody battle. It's almost like a custody battle because like she's divorcing with her husband, or maybe they're already divorced.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a court. It's not a court hearing, but it's, yeah, discussing custody for their kid, Ikuko. I think it's the kid's name.
Yeah, Ikuko is the kid, which I didn't realize that was her dad actually, because the first scene is him like sitting at smoking. It's like some guy smoking, and then
Yeah.
she's
He's
sitting
like,
there. They're like, "Oh yeah, come with me," basically.
yeah, it's like they're not talking. Nobody's talking in the scene. He's just kind of there.
Yeah, and
And
then
it's
someone
like,
comes by. It's like, "Oh, Miss Matsubara, can you please come with me or whatever?" And they go to their office room and they talk about we're talking about basically divorce custody hearing, and it's like someone said that you went to therapy or something, or talking about how she went to
yeah,
therapy, and I think that's kind of a big thing because they talk about it a couple times, at least in the Japanese version. They talk about it a couple times, but then it kind of goes to the wayside because you really don't. They don't talk about it after a while.
yeah,
It's kind of like just established that she went to
right.
therapy at least once.
Yeah. Whereas it comes into play pretty early on the Japanese one where they mention it at the custody
Yeah,
thing. Whereas the American one, they don't mention it ever, like till way later in the story.
yeah, because it kind of that's kind of the American one. That's like one difference between the American one and the Japanese one. It's like they kind of lean into that a little bit more into the American. But then you
Right.
learn that I guess I don't know if she's moving or something along that lines, going to a different apartment complex. So they're looking at apartments and stuff, and
Mhm.
they finally are like picking an apartment that's I guess within their budget and everything else. So and when they go to this place looks like it's from like World War II. It looks pretty run down, and it's like doing like Silent Hill music in the background too. So it kind of has like a very eerie feel to it, I guess you could say. And then you go and then you talk, and they're kind of showing the apartment complex or whatever, and it's kind of like a little bit off because they talk to whoever the I don't know, the receptionist or whatever. I don't know if he's a receptionist or if he's like the maintenance guy or whatever. He's just like,
I don't know. Yeah, he like works the desk, but
yeah, he works the desk and he's just like,
doesn't do anything though.
yeah, he's just like,
He looks like
huh,
he's like this
okay.
million-year-old guy who's just been at this desk forever.
Yeah, then you talk. It has like the manager or whatever, which I think the manager's name is Ota. He's like the realtor, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
is he
he's
the
the guy
real?
that he's the manager that owns the place or whatever, I think. But
Okay. And then I have a list of names here just to try to remember these names here. So in this, it says Ota is the realtor, but it says Kamiya is the manager. I don't know what the difference is. One of the guys, they talk to the one guy and he has glasses. That's all I know.
yeah,
But when they go in the elevator in this building and there's like water all over the ground, and I'm assuming Ota is like, can you clean this up? I told you to clean this up all the time, which that's a major theme in this movie is water. So they go to the apartment building or the apartment, their apartment. And then she's showing them around the house, like around the house, and they're like, "Oh, you want to get this apartment?" They're like, "Yeah, we'll get this apartment." And then I think the next scene is, remember correctly, the next scene goes right into like them moving in. They go to the roof because when she's looking through the apartment, like the mother Yoshimi is like, "Where's
oh yeah,
Ukoko?" Or is like,
Ikuko like just disappears on them while they're checking out the apartment.
yeah, while they're checking out the apartment, the manager's is like, "Oh, he's just probably just exploring or whatever." And then she's like running around looking for her, and then she eventually goes up to the roof, in which Ikuko has the what is that bag or whatever? It was like Mickey. What was that? How do you know
Mimiko.
The Mimiko bag that you
Yeah.
see quite a bit. It's like probably every other scene you have this Mimiko bag show up.
Yeah, it's more of a character than half the cast is.
Yeah. So they're like, "Oh, what? Why is this bag up here?" And then when they go down to the manager Kamiya, he's like, "There's no kids that live in this building."
Yeah, but he's not very observant anyway.
Yeah,
so.
he's like useless. He's like the most useless guy in existence.
Everybody in this movie's useless.
Yeah. Like the most useless guy in existence.
This movie's the themes of Dark Water is negligence and incompetence.
Yeah, negligence and incompetence are the themes of this movie, or both movies, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So after that, he has like a lost and found or whatever, or an item that had been dropped or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Japanese for lost and found is like dropped thing.
Yeah, drop thing.
It's otoshimono. It's like literally just drop things.
Was it her at getting her job or whatever? Like she's like for some reason it shows her going to her interview.
Oh yeah,
it's like the most negligent interview in existence.
Yeah, it's like the longest interview ever.
Yeah, she literally is in the morning, so she drops her kid off to go to the Ikuko over to her like elementary school, or maybe that's before. I guess maybe before she shows her going to the elementary school to drop her off, like because she's going to her first day of school. And then the principal's yelling at some kids saying that, "Why do you think that fat people are stupid or something?" It had nothing to do with anything at all. And then she goes over to her interview, which it's daylight when she goes there. When she leaves, it's dark. Or am I missing something? I can't remember. Am I missing? I don't know.
It took like the stupid interview. Like felt like it went on for 10 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then it's like it's dark when she leaves, and they're like wondering when she's gonna pick her kid up or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think this is the part where she goes to the apartment and then she looks in the ceiling, doesn't she? And then she sees like a almost like mold ring or something.
Yeah, there's like mold on the ceiling and it's dripping.
Yeah, it's dripping water, so she's putting whatever pots and pans underneath this thing to try to keep it from spilling all over the place. Which actually it spreads out later on. Like it's small, then it slowly gets bigger and bigger throughout the movie. And then all you hear like the ceiling. I guess the neighbors upstairs are just running around.
Yeah,
like every day. Even if I lived in an apartment complex, to me, I'd be like, I'm calling the police or something. It's like noise complaint.
Yeah,
isn't that a big thing in Japan? Always they talk about noise complaints. That's like a big thing. Which I don't know if that's a stereotype or something, but I think that might be a stereotype. But
no, it actually people get really mad about like any kind of sounds.
Oh yeah. And then also it shows her like she gets like these headaches every so often, which I think it's supposed to be saying that she kind of has like, I don't know if it's trying to show like trying to throw you off that she might be just imagining these things or whatever, because she's like might not be the most sane person, I guess. I don't know. Because she went to the for therapy or whatever.
Yeah, because Japan. It's like you went to therapy once, you're probably insane and not fit to have any kind of job.
Yeah. But actually, this is actually when it gets dark. I just remember something. When she gets dark, like I guess her dad like picks up her kid from the kindergarten. So they're like yelling at each other in the street or whatever. And
Yeah, that
like,
scene's weird too. Like all the scenes with the dad are bizarre in the Japanese version because we don't know who this guy is. They never introduce him properly. He's just some guy. It's like some dude just showed up and took the girl.
Yeah. Just took the girl. It's like, is that just a random guy that took her?
Yeah, but it's apparently the dad.
Yeah, it was the dad. It's like, okay, we finally know who the dad is because he doesn't show up very much in the movie. He like shows up like 3 times. I think he shows up twice.
Yeah.
And the one time's on the phone, and he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, and they keep going back home, and then the ring on the ceiling gets bigger and bigger. And
yeah, it gets bigger and bigger, and then she goes up to try to like talk to them at one point.
Yeah, she goes up to chat to talk to them. She knocks on the door, no answer. She gets in the elevator, and then there's a girl standing there in the doorway.
Yeah, like staring. It's like, oh, is there someone that lives there? But she's basically like, is there someone that lives there?
Yeah, so she goes back to the door, but again, nobody answers.
Yeah, no one answers the door, and then she's like, okay, I'll call downstairs to the guy or whatever. And she goes to the guy and he's like, I'll put a log in.
Yeah, I'll make a note of it or whatever. Yeah.
Like the manager is like, oh, I'll just put a log in. I'll just write it down, whatever.
Yeah, they go up there and then eventually she finds out that the girl that she's been seeing has been missing for like years.
Yeah, because it's like 1999 or something.
Yeah. She disappeared in 1999. It's like 2002 or whatever. So this girl's been missing for like 3 years or something.
Yeah, and then she always keeps seeing the bag. The Mimiko bag always shows up because like, was it Ikuko always wants to either grab it or take it with her or whatever.
She's like obsessed with this bag.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the girl also went to the same kindergarten as Ikuko. And yeah, so there's all these similarities between them.
Yeah, very similar. I don't even think they really I guess they talked about the lady, I guess either her mother just disappears or something, because later on you find out that the ghost girl's mother disappeared, or she just like neglected her kid and she was living with her dad for a while.
Yeah.
And then she like disappeared, and I don't know if the dad just disappeared or
the dad stayed there for a few months or something, and then he eventually left.
Yeah, he eventually left, and then the girl, I don't know if he took the girl. I guess people just assume that she took the girl with her, but
yeah, people assume that, but the girl never came back.
Yeah, the girl never came back. So.
Like he was waiting in the apartment for like 6 months or something in case she came back, because nobody knew what happened to the girl.
Yeah.
And like all this stuff's happening, weird stuff happens at the apartment. There's like hair in the sink and like all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
when she's drinking water, it's like hair in the water.
Yeah, the water's all dirty.
Yeah, nasty, like
it's like
black water.
Yeah. And then eventually she goes up to the apartment later on. The door's open. So she goes inside and like the whole apartment's flooded.
Yeah, I guess this is that part where this is after the scene where Ikuko is like at the school and she's like trying to play hide and seek or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then this is like supposed to be like the scary scene, I guess.
I guess.
And she hides in like the corner, and then she sees like the water starts turning on by itself, and then she sees like a person walking towards her,
and
this water just like leaking. It's like the ghost like pees all over herself, and this water goes everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
she's got water leaking.
Yeah, leaking everywhere, and then basically she passes out. I don't know if she passes out or I'm presuming passes out, and then
she ends up like she's like unconscious for like a week.
Yeah,
for some reason.
And then the mother goes and picks her up and basically takes her back to her house. And I guess this is where the water spot in the ceiling gets big enough to where it's like leaking all over the mother because she fell asleep.
Yeah.
And then she imagines about like that bag falling into like a water tank that's on the roof or something like that.
Yeah. A girl for some reason climbs up into the water tank, and then she drops her Mimiko bag in the water, and then she falls in trying to get it. And
then it closes on her, and then she basically drowns.
Yeah, she drowned in the water tank. And then nobody has checked the water tank since 1999.
Yeah.
Like it says
Which
the last cleaning was like the day she died.
which is kind of weird. 'Cause I don't know if it was like the manager knew that she fell in and just because I think that one of the themes is about negligence and stuff like that. So the guy was just like, whatever. And he found her in there. I was like, I'm not dealing with that. The plumber can deal with it. They always say that
Yeah.
like the plumber can deal with it.
They're always trying to pass it on to somebody else instead of actually dealing with the problem.
Yeah, because this is where the lawyer shows up too, I think.
Yeah, well, the lawyer shows up when they're at another court or they're at another custody hearing thing,
Yeah.
and the mother flips out on the
Yeah, it's just like, oh,
father.
you don't want to be like, you don't want to be seen as being like crazy because she's like screaming at the
Yeah, and then
husband
all of a
because she
sudden,
thinks the husband's
lawyer,
like messing with her.
yeah, lawyer man just like materializes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He
there.
doesn't even appear to be in the scene prior to that. He just comes over.
Yeah, I think
and like,
that might be the first time you actually see him is
yeah,
when they're at the second custody hearing.
Yeah, he comes and he like consoles her, and then
Yeah, because she thinks that her husband is like just messing with her with giving the bag and just like screwing with her all the time.
Yeah,
like he took a because it shows it for some weird reason it shows like it makes a point of showing him like destroying his cigarette and little, like it shows him just like grinding his cigarette into like this ashtray for somewhere. It's like 3 minutes.
Like 3 minutes. Yeah, it's like 3 minutes of him angrily grinding a cigarette into an ashtray.
Yeah, because there was a scene prior where there was ash or like I don't know if the button was burnt or I don't know what the button. It was like in the elevator. It was like
it was like a cigarette burn.
So she thought that he was there to like mess with her or whatever. So she was like yelling, and that's when the lawyer shows up. And I think that was after the lawyer shows up again after she goes up to the apartment when it's all flooded, isn't that?
Yeah.
Or it's like this, all the water is just running in it, so it's like everywhere. It's like no wonder the roof is all has a big water stain because it's just like seeping out water. It's like raining in your apartment above you.
Basically, yeah.
They must call the manager or the realtor again, Ota again. And he comes, he's like, why is the door unlocked, Kamiya? He's like, why is this door unlocked up here?
He's like, well,
the door's supposed to be closed. Yeah, it shouldn't be. I locked
it's like,
it.
well, it is.
Since 1999, I locked it. Great. And then when they go in there, this apartment's like wrecked because it's just like wet everywhere. And then they go up to the roof with the lawyer, and he's like, this water tank's really dirty up here. It's like, have you cleaned this thing at all? Basically ask him if he's cleaned it at all.
And then the guy's like, it's not my problem. It's me.
Yeah, it's the plumber. Yeah, it's the plumber's problem. It's not my problem. Yeah, maintenance problem, not my problem. Which again goes in the theme of negligence. And it's like, who cares?
Yeah. It's like, who is maintenance?
Yeah, who is maintenance?
We never see any maintenance people.
I don't think so.
So yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's like kind of all this stuff adds up. And then
I don't think it's really any other major scenes other than like the very final scene.
Not really. And then
because it's just like filler.
Yeah, it's basically just filler up until the end. So
and in the end, you have like I guess she goes up to. Why does she go up to the roof? Actually, I don't remember because she sees the bag again, Mikoko bag or whatever.
Yeah, Mimiko
bag. Why does she go back up to the roof again?
I don't remember.
Yeah, so she goes up to the roof and tells her daughter to stay here. So let me go up to the roof and check this out or whatever. Then she goes to the roof. She climbs up the water tank, and then it does this like really bad CGI punching to the water tank.
Oh yeah. It looked like something from Looney Tunes.
Yeah, Looney Tunes are like Animaniacs or something.
Yeah, the Animaniacs are up in the WB water tower.
Yeah, because you could hear like something knocking into like this water tank.
Yeah, and they could have done that and just stayed being like subtle and creepy, but then they had to go into like cartoon.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid. And then she's like, "Oh, Then she starts screaming or whatever, and she goes back downstairs. And while this is going on, like the water, like she's like, I guess the Ikukyo is like cleaning up or whatever, so the water starts turning on by itself. And then she goes to try to brush her teeth, and the water, the water turns on. It turns into like this weird, nasty, dark water. or gray water or whatever.
It's gray water.
And then like the bathtub starts filling up with water by itself, and then she's staring at this bathtub, and it's like obviously something's in there because it's like bubbling up,
growling.
Yeah, it's growling, and she's just staring at it. She's trying to turn the water off, but she's just staring at it.
Yeah, and then it
And then
grabs
his hands
her.
hands grow up, grab her in their head, and she puts her in the water, tries to like drown her in this bathtub.
Yeah.
And then the mother comes back down. Yoshimi comes back down, and she's like walking, she's yelling, or I don't know. She says it, so she's another name. I don't know why. Maybe it's like a nickname or something. But she's Kukyo. She's like screaming out of Kukyo or whatever. And then she goes, looks in the bathtub, and she sees the girl passed out on the floor. And she's like, then she just grabs him and tries to get out of the building or whatever. Then she goes to the elevator. And then while she's pressing the button to try to go down, she sees Ikukyo coming out of the apartment building.
Yeah.
So, and then she's like, who do I have here? And then she looks at the girl like that she has, and it's like the original girl. Which I don't even know what her name was.
The missing girl.
Matsuko Kawaii.
Yeah, Kawaii. Yeah, Kawaii.
Matsuko Kawaii. Yeah, and then she sees her, and then she's like, she screams out "mama" or whatever, and then tries to like choke her. She's like trying to choke her or try to kill her or something.
Yeah, she's like,
I don't
her
understand.
thumbs into her.
Yeah, and her jugular.
Yeah.
And then Ikukyo is like, oh, and then she runs over to the elevator, and then the mother tells her to stop. I'll be Mitsuko's mother, basically.
Yeah.
Because I guess Mitsuko was trying to find her mother or something. That's like the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like abandoned by everyone.
Yeah.
So, and then she's like, and then the elevator closes, and then Ikukyo looks up to the elevator, and it's bad CGI rainfall. I don't know why. It's like a weird CGI, and it looks really bad.
Yeah.
Again, it's like
early 2000s Japan had.
Yeah, this is like where they put all their budget at.
Yeah, they had the worst CGI in the early 2000s.
Yeah. And then she goes up to, I don't know which floor. Did she go to the 4th floor or the 5th floor? I'm guessing the 4th floor.
Yeah, the 4th floor is where the ghost stuff is, because 4 is the number of death in Japan. They're not even subtle with that.
Okay, yeah, because there's one scene where it shows her like it gets stuck at the 4th floor, and then it opens up, and then the elevator closes and it goes up further.
Yeah,
but and then for some reason the elevator opens and then just water shoots out of it.
Yeah, it's almost like the Shining with the blood.
Yeah, it's just shining, but it's just like gray water.
But it's like gray water.
Yeah, so
the kid just gets covered in sewage water.
Yeah. And then actually after that, then it's like a time jump for like 10 years.
Yeah.
This is like the end of the movie here. So it's like a time jump for 10 years. And then Ikukyo comes back to the town. Or was she always living there? I don't even know.
She was always living there, but she sees a girl. Yeah, sees it. Well, she's living with her dad, but she sees a girl that's like abandoned or something at the kindergarten that she used to go to,
and she's like, remember, like she's like forgotten all about it, and then she remembers,
right? And she remembers all this stuff because this all happened when she was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
So
and then
she goes back to the apartment, but the apartment's like I guess the apartment totally closed after all this stuff happened. So like nobody's lived there for 10 years, so it's completely abandoned.
Yeah.
And she goes back to the apartment, and her mom's there. But it turns out her mom's a ghost.
Yeah, her mom's a ghost. They talk about it, and she wants to stay with her mom.
Yeah.
But her mom's like, you can't stay with her. And then you see Matsuko in the background, like, peering over at her.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I can't stay here.
Right. And then they both disappear, and the movie basically ends.
Yeah, like the apartment, like that, her apartment room is just like, it looks like something from Silent Hill. Like her apartment's like perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like they haven't moved out ever. It's just everything else looks like there's like vines growing out this building because it seems like it's been abandoned for so long.
Yeah,
it's only been 10 years.
Right.
Unless like stuff just grows a lot faster in Japan than they do anywhere else.
Well, if you banned in a building completely for 10 years, it's gonna look pretty good.
Like vines on this building.
So yeah, that's basically Dark Water.
Yeah, that's Dark
It's
Water, the movie, the
it's not
Japanese
bad.
version. Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, it's very slow. I
Yeah,
guess
it's
I could
very
say it's
slow.
very slow.
It's not the best Japanese horror movie by any means, but it's also not the worst. So.
Yeah, I think we were looking at a little bit before we did the recording about like where this actually came from. Apparently, this is like a short story,
Mhm.
and the book, that short story, like it's like an anthology short story book, and a lot of this has about like the running themes is like family troubles, domestic abuse, like negligence. So you could see where it comes from actually when you read where this actually like the actual story came from.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense
Mhm.
how it is.
So then we'll move into the 2005 American remake.
Yes. Which it follows very similar to like the first one, but there are some differences
Right.
between the two.
Yeah, because the early 2000s was this period of like scene for scene remakes.
Yeah.
And I thought that's what this is going to be, but then it kind of does diverge at a certain point. Like it kind of starts out being exactly the same, but then about midway through, it gets to stuff a lot faster than the Japanese one did. So you know that it's going to something different is going to happen because they're going to run out of movie.
Yeah, because the American version, she goes to the apartment above her like around 30 minutes. In the Japanese version, it's like almost 40 minutes into the movie. So it's like halfway through the movie and you haven't even got to the second. You haven't got to the apartment above you. But in the American version, it's a lot quicker.
Yeah, because the characters are more proactive in the American version.
Yeah, that's definitely much more characterization in the American version because you kind of like it develops characters a lot more.
The dad's immediately a character because he's in the custody discussion.
Yeah. And you kind of could tell that there's like it's not a very good divorce because they're like she's like screaming at him.
They're arguing
about how she's like a psychotic person basically.
Yeah, he's basically he's actually more aggressive towards her in the American version.
Yeah, because he's like get your lawyers ready. I have my lawyers.
Yeah, like he's yelling at her in the American version. Japanese version, he's not even in the same room as her, which is why we didn't realize he was even the dad until totally
it's
different
like
scene.
Like what's going on here?
And when a character appears in the American version, they actually explain who he is and introduce him. He's not just doesn't just appear out of nowhere and you gotta like figure out who he is.
Yeah. Okay, so like the first scene that you see in the American version is kind of like the first scene in the Japanese version. So you see Dahlia, which is the main character, like the lady character. So that's like the what's her name? That's the Yoshimi character.
Yeah, that's Yoshimi.
So she's like when she's like a kid in like kindergarten, and a kid like her mother doesn't pick her up or something like that. So like the teacher is like sitting out with her. Is like, is your parents coming to pick you up? Is it coming to pick you up again, or why are they always late? But eventually, the mother does pick her up. You do see her mother show up, and she's like a drunk. I don't know if she's like a drug addict or something like that. Obviously, it wasn't like a good family environment.
No.
And then it goes into like the divorce scene after like it. Then it's like that's like the back to like the flashback, and then it goes into where she's like at the actual lawyer's office. And then they go into the custody hearing, and it's like, or I don't know if it's a custody hearing or whatever. It's like I don't even know what that exactly is, but. And then she talks about having to go to an apartment, like going to live in a different apartment because she can't afford the apartment she's living at now. And the father like lives in Jersey City, which he wants her to move to Jersey City. And Dolly's like, that's too expensive. I'm going over to Roosevelt Island or whatever. I don't know.
Right. Like, Roosevelt Island. Yeah. She gets an apartment that's the manager is Dr. Steve Brule.
Yeah. So he's the manager. Yeah, he's Dr. Steve Brule.
Tim and Eric. And the
maintenance guy is
Pete
the guy from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, who's Roland Tembo from The Lost World.
Yeah, The Lost World. And this is where you start seeing one of the major differences is characterization.
Yeah.
And people actually talking, because in the Japanese version, which I think that's more of that's like a Japanese
cultural
thing. Yeah, that's like a cultural thing because people don't really talk too much to each other.
Nobody says anything here or explains anything.
Yeah, so
You're supposed to know what everything is.
because the one guy, I don't know if he's like the maintenance guy. I don't know if he's like a Russian guy. I don't know what he's supposed to be, but
Guy's name is like Vec or something.
yeah, his name is Vec, but he has
He's
like a
not. Yeah, he's got like an Eastern European
yeah,
accent.
he
I
has
don't
an
know if
Eastern
he's.
European accent.
It sounds more like a Dutch name, but for
Yeah.
some reason he has like an Eastern European accent. It's not Russian because the family above them was Russian.
Oh yeah, he talks like those
He's calling
Ruskies
them
or what?
Ruskies or whatever. So he's not a Russian guy. He's just I don't know what he is, but he's got an interesting accent.
Yeah, and then the manager is showing him around this apartment building, and then it kind of has the same scene where the apartment building's the apartment's a little bit different layout or whatever. Then she misses the whatever the ceiling. Well, I guess before that, I guess in the elevator you have a puddle of water in this elevator,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's like, "Oh, can you clean this up?" And the guy's like, "I cleaned it up earlier." And so you see the negligence, and then like the whatever the maintenance guy's like, "I cleaned it up earlier."
Yeah. So he's not going to bother with it again.
Yeah, I won't bother with it until later. Whatever.
It's basically the same movie for a while.
Yeah.
The main difference is that the is it the biggest difference, would you say?
I guess the first part is I think they lean more into like the mental part of it because she's taking medication all the time.
Yeah.
In the other movie, she doesn't take any medication except like once.
Hmm.
This one, she kind of shows her like every other scene, she's taking her like migraine pills. And then I think the other scene that's different, another major scene that's different is she goes to the apartment earlier.
Yeah,
Because it's pretty much the same because they go to the elementary school and then she's like, why is there water coming from the ceiling? Maybe there's something wrong with this, like flooded out or something on the beginning. So she goes up to the upstairs to check on it, to like talk to the people, but the door is like, is the door open or something? Or she just walks in.
Yeah, she opens the door and goes in. And then
I guess the only other difference is there's a Hello Kitty backpack instead.
yeah, Hello Kitty backpack instead of the Mimiko thing. And
they don't spend too much time on the roof very much either. In this movie, they're just like,
there's that weird laundry scene that doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah. Yeah, because it goes to the upstairs. Yeah, she goes to the other stairs and then she imagines like her, or maybe that's later on. She goes to the stairs a couple times. It's not like once. Yeah. She goes up there a couple times.
Yeah.
This is where we learn about the greatest characters in existence, Asshole Steve and Dumbass Billy or whatever.
Yeah, Asshole Steve and Dumb Billy.
Yeah.
And they're apparently Mr. Vec keeps blaming them for everything.
Yeah, because like all these leaks are caused from them.
Yeah, apparently, according to him, these two guys, Asshole Steve and Dumb Billy, break into the apartment, or they stole the keys to that apartment, and they go up there to turn on the water.
Yeah,
because for some reason they think that's fun.
Yeah, to flood out the person.
So they flood the apartment.
And you always see them all the time. They just look like 2000s, like typical 2000s kids.
Yeah, basically it's early 2000s. They keep hitting on Dolly all the time.
Yeah, every time they see her, she's always hitting on him, and then they get blamed for being like destroying everything in this building. And that's the where it comes to negligence part, because the maintenance guy just like they're always destroying all these things all the time.
Again, he just passes the blame off to somebody else.
Yeah, he's never like, oh, let me fix this. It's like, oh, that's them. But he does go and fix her room at least once. Like he does kind of like,
yeah, he like rips the hell out of the ceiling and then patches it up like very.
It looks bad. And he's like, it'll just blend it.
Yeah, sure. When the lawyer shows up, he's much more developed and we know who he is.
Yeah, he's like the lawyer, and she's like, oh, let me talk to you about this lawyer or whatever, because this is, I think before then, she like the father again is like being very aggressive, so he's like, you can get some lawyers here. Like, I'm gonna get a lawyer because I'm taking custody from this kid because you're like a mental patient. That's what he says. He's like, you're a mental patient, so I'm gonna take my kid back, because the kid goes with their dad a couple times. But the other movie, it doesn't happen ever until like the dad picks her up once, but you never see the dad after that. Yeah. This one you kind of see her dad, like her dad comes and tries to pick her up, because her dad's kind of like with her, and her like she at least with the kid, Cecilia.
Hmm.
And at the school, they talk about having an imaginary friend as well. That's another thing. Because throughout the movie, this a little bit more. I guess the American version had a little bit more like supernatural. Because you hear the girl talking to it like the kid all the time, or
Yeah.
talks to the mother, or she's like talking about the lullaby, Itsy Bitsy Spider.
Yeah, Itsy Bitsy Spider, yeah.
You're talking about like you hear him talking to the kid like all the time about it, and then they at the school is like kind of concerned about the kid having like mental issues. So he's always like, "Oh, we have a psychologist here. If you need her, and if you need him, it's free of charge." But then the mother is always like, "No, I don't want her to." Basically tell her, "No, I don't. I'll deal with the imaginary friend, I guess."
Yeah.
And this is where I think this is where you start learning the name of the imaginary friend. Natasha used to live upstairs,
Right.
but her mother disappeared and her father disappeared, and Natasha then disappeared.
Yeah, Natasha disappeared, and then the mother was like in the hospital or something.
Yeah, because that's later on.
Oh, she's an alcoholic. She's a recovering alcoholic, and she ends up in the hospital. The father went back to Russia.
Yeah, the father went back to Russia, which the one guy assumed, like the maintenance guy just assumed that they just took her with her.
Yeah,
because he saw her a couple times.
Yeah, until he's like talking about how she's dead or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, if she would have died, they would never know." Like,
she might have been dead. And they're like, "What?"
Actually, what got to that scene? I don't even remember what got to that scene. Is it because
It's because the lawyer
Cecilia
came in and was like, "No, it's because the lawyer came in and like demanded that they fix the apartment and everything and dragged the maintenance guy in."
Was that after Cecilia got like it was like the same school scene where Cecilia's like she's like in the bathroom and then she passes out and her dad takes her with her. Is that what happened?
Yeah, because
okay, so that's right after.
Yeah, the dad took her, and then the mom was like passed
like
out.
Had like like a psychotic breakdown.
Yeah, the mom had passed out on the couch. She had those visions of her mother like abusing her, verbally abusing her as a child.
Yeah. Verbally abusing her as a child, and she's like, "There's water everywhere," and like and then the lawyer's like, "Okay, I'm gonna come and check on you at least."
Yeah, because the lawyer comes in and sees that the place is a complete disaster.
It's like, what is this?
Then he drags the manager in, and the manager calls the plumber, and then they find Vec or whatever and drag him in.
Yeah, this is where Vec's like, if she would have died, no one would have known or whatever.
Yeah, so then they're like, "What?" And then
it's like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Someone died."
Then, of course, that sets off the manager because Steve Brule, everything's for your health.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean
and
she
the lawyer,
died?
Yeah, it's like she died. And this is where the lawyer isn't the lawyer kind of like though this is where the lawyer actually talks to her is like or she dreams. This is where she dreams about going up to the ceiling or I can't remember why she goes to the roof. Is that like she dreams about it and then she goes up there? Is that why?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, she dreams about like the ghost going up to the roof or whatever, and then she goes over there. Then she opens up the water tank. Do most apartments have water tanks like that?
They must.
Yeah, he's like he opens up the water tank, and then you see the girl is like dead in there, like just floating in this water tank. That means that she's been there for like a couple months.
Well, it's better. Everyone that's been 3 years or whatever the hell the Japanese version was.
Everyone's just been drinking that water. That's disgusting. That's just
they've all been drinking
pretty disgusting.
Dead people water.
Yeah, like literally just drinking this dead body's water that's been sitting in there, or swimming, or like taking a shower in it and stuff.
Yeah. So,
but then this is another part where it gets different. It's because the police and stuff show up. So it's like they take the body away.
Yeah, the police show up. They arrest Vec for whatever, I guess.
And Vec does the same line from the Japanese movie. It's the plumber's problem.
Yeah, he's being dragged off by the police.
You're like, it's the plumber's problem, not mine.
It's like great.
And then this is where you see Dahlia's like, I'm gonna leave. We're moving. We're not staying here. Which yeah, I would say I wouldn't be wanted to stay there either. And I think she kind of like this is like a lot of the I guess the paranormal stuff kind of dies down a little bit.
Yeah, for a little while.
Yeah, for a little bit, and then she's like trying to get her life back. She's like telling her dad it's like, or her husband, like, we're gonna move back to Jersey City. That way we can be closer together. That way the kid can have a little better life or whatever, instead of
Mhm.
being so far away. And then when she gets back to her room, I guess she showers, or like she puts Cece back into like for a bath or whatever while she's talking. Cece comes out in the living room, but it's like it's not Cece.
No,
It's like,
it's
can you read me this?
Yeah, it turns out to be Natasha, and Cece's in the bathtub as it's like
Yeah, this is
filling
like
up with water.
yeah, this is where it gets different too, because it's like in the Japanese version, they're in the elevator.
Yeah,
In the
this
American
one.
version, it's like in the bathtub.
Yeah, and the American one's like really rushed here,
Yeah, it's pretty rushed.
and the acting's like real uneven in this one part of the movie, and then all of a sudden, like the whole place starts filling with water. She's trying
Yeah.
to break the glass that's on the bathtub, but for some reason it's like bulletproof
Yeah,
glass that she can't shatter.
the manager even says something in the beginning. He's like, if you try to break this, you'll never break this glass. And it's kind of like, okay, that's foreshadowing for sure.
Like, why?
It's like, why did you even talk about this? Like, why does this matter? It's like, if you have to break this glass down, you can't get in here.
Yeah, it's like, what situation would you normally have that you would have to do that?
Yeah. And then the ghost is like, I want you to be my mama, like my mother or whatever.
Yeah, and she's like, okay, and then she
Like, okay, I'll be your mother. Just take me instead of take Cece, because she's trying to kill, like Natasha is trying to kill Cece, like drown her to death.
Right. So then she's like, okay, I'll be your mother.
Yeah,
and
if you let her go, I'll be your mother.
And
then
they
I guess
become ghosts. After that.
yeah, because I think Natasha drowns Dahlia in the bathtub.
Yes.
So if that were the case, wouldn't that have killed Cece too?
Well, no, because she let her go or whatever.
But the whole bathtub was filling up with water.
Well,
like the
yeah,
whole bathroom was filling up with water. Not even the bathtub; it was the room that was filling up with water.
Yeah, well, I guess she moved her or something. I don't know, but yeah, that's what happens. The same ending as the Japanese one.
Yeah, it's the same ending, but it's like a little bit different because when the dad is like trying to like that shows like it's like a time jump for 3 weeks instead of 10 years. Like a little bit of time jump where they're like cleaning out the apartment to try to get her to move to her new apartment. But you do see that Dahlia does die. Like she shows her going out into the ambulance. Like the ambulance takes her away, and like a Caucasian female died here.
Yeah.
While the girl was in shock. And then does the time jump, and then they're basically moving out, and then the elevator gets stuck at the first floor.
Yeah.
Because the guy's like trying to press the elevator button, and he's trying to get stuck, and they get stuck, and then you see the scene where this would be like this Japanese scene where he's talking to her mother in the apartment building. This is like in the elevator, and she's like, "If you ever need me, I'm here." Basically, it's the Japanese version ending was a little bit. It was better than this one.
Yeah,
for sure. Then she braids her hair, and the dad's like, "Okay, your hair is different now for some weird reason." Like the 5 minutes you were in this elevator, your hair changed. So, and that's actually it for the American version. So it's very similar to the Japanese version for sure.
Yeah, it's similar, but it's not an exact scene for scene remake, which I appreciated that they actually did something different with it.
Yeah, we had dumbass Steve and
you have asshole Steve and dumb Billy.
Yeah,
the integral characters to the story.
He destroys this building. They're just like
the
ruffians that destroy this building all the time.
They just decide to vandalize the apartment that they live in for fun.
Yeah, all the time.
Every day. Yeah. Why they haven't been evicted yet, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah. And everybody's Russian for some reason.
Yeah. Everyone's Russian.
Natasha's Russian. Vec is some generic Eastern European dude.
Yeah.
Based on the accent. And then there's also Dahlia's mother's like Russian or something too.
Yeah, Dahlia's mother is Russian because she's in the bathroom at like in the upstairs bathroom, like throwing up in this toilet.
Yeah, she's always like yelling at her, calls her daughter a bitch all the time.
Yeah, in like a Russian accent.
In a Russian accent, yeah. So in the American version, there's a couple things that are different. The Mimiko bag is now a Hello Kitty backpack.
Yes.
Asshole Steve and dumb Billy our characters. They don't even exist in the Japanese one.
Yeah, they're late
And
because the Japanese version only has like 10 characters max.
yeah, and there's a distinctive increase in the number of Russians in the American
Yes.
version.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's basically the big difference. But the biggest difference of all is the American version has much more developed characters than the
Yeah,
Japanese
that's
one.
a big change.
And
It could,
in
you know what's going on.
actually, I prefer the American version up until the very end.
Which I was actually looking at. Apparently, a lot of people did prefer the American version compared to the Japanese version. Like I was looking at a lot of reviews. They're saying the American version was pretty like a better Japanese remake.
Yeah,
of
it's a
horror.
I think it's a better movie than the Japanese one until the end, until the very end.
Yeah, because the very end,
The
the
American
Japanese
one,
one definitely.
yeah, American one just falls apart at the end. And
Yeah, it's very rushed. Yeah, I do agree with it. It's very rushed.
the
It's
Japanese
kind of
one,
like boom, boom.
the ending is better paced, but the rest of the movie up to the end is, I think, the American one was better.
Yeah, the American one. Yeah, you can kind of tell that there's a little bit of a difference in like. You kind of had to know a little bit of Japanese culture, I guess, in the Japanese version, which I don't know if a lot of Japanese movies are like that. I don't watch too many Japanese movies, so I don't.
Everybody's movies are like that. You have to have some understanding of the culture.
Oh, you mean I'm talking about like knowing four is something you would probably need to know.
Oh yeah, well that's
Stuff like that, or
that
culturally where you're like you don't talk to anyone. You literally don't talk to anyone.
Yeah, but that happens all the time. That was one of the things too that's kind of stupid. That it's one of those things that a lot of people will probably be like, oh, that's, it's this all interesting cultural fact that they go, the fourth floor is like I guess four is the number of deaths in Japan. But in actuality, that's like a huge cliche in horror films, because they do that all the time in Asian horror films, that the fourth floor is always like haunted or something. You'll see that constantly in Korean and Japanese and Chinese films.
Yeah,
because it's originally from, the concept comes from China originally.
It's like a Buddhist or something.
Yeah, it's just because the name for in
is that what it is? Okay,
sounds like the word for death.
Oh, okay.
Because like shisu is the verb to die, and she is for in Japanese. So and it's the same thing. It's in Chinese, and it's the same thing. It sounds like the word for death.
Oh, so, okay, it makes sense.
The number sounds like death. So that's why. But like, you need to know that. I mean, you don't need to know that. It's just an added.
Yeah, it adds fact into the story at least a little bit.
Yeah, it's like an added fact, but it's done so many times in Asian horror films that it's just like a cliche. It's not like some highbrow.
Yeah, it's not like. Yeah.
You'll see it in a dozen other horror movies from all over East Asia. So like, it's not anything original here.
These dark water wasn't that scary though. Like wasn't like a very.
No, it's not. You'll find that most of them aren't. Most Japanese horror movies aren't scary. The only one I can think of that's really scary is like Ju-on.
Yeah.
Like The Grudge, that one's really scary. But the majority of them are more like mystery. Like Ringu's the same way. It's like real slow, and it's mostly a mystery more than it is horror.
Yeah, I do agree with that. This movie definitely felt pretty it's definitely mysterious, I guess you could say. It has like a very mystery genre, I guess.
Almost like supernatural mysteries or something, as opposed to straight up horror.
Straight up horror, like American horror is a little bit. A little bit more, which I guess this is how, like in this movie, you could see there's like more. I guess there's a little bit like a jump scare in the American version, because it's like not really. It's like a jump scare, but like not a jump scare, because when she's in the laundromat, the girl like screaming through the like little glass or whatever.
Yeah, which that doesn't happen at all in the Japanese.
Yeah, or when she opens up the tank, the girl screams. Or like she opens her eyes up and screams. It like does like a weird screaming sound effect. They're kind of like a jump scare that they always like to do in these movies, especially 2000s. The 2000s is definitely jump scare moments.
I feel like they do it even more in horror movies now.
Yeah, nowadays it's like jump scare is like the big thing.
But yeah, overall, they're not terrible movies. They're not fantastic movies. It's pretty mediocre.
It's mediocre.
I'd say both of them are like 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah,
Seven,
I do agree.
six
Yeah,
point five.
yes, yeah, 6, 7, yeah, something like that. It's not really anything that's like groundbreaking,
No.
which is kind of weird. Cause I'm looking at the reviews. Some of these, it's like the Japanese version of Dark Water got like 81% Rotten Tomato score. The
Yeah.
American version got a 47%
40.
American
Yeah.
score.
It's
Like the same movie.
basically the same movie, except for the American one's got better developed characters
Yeah,
and it's got half the rating.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's just kind of like maybe it's just because it's I guess it Rotten Tomatoes more like a foreign film, so a foreign film maybe
It
got a little
must
bit
be
better. I don't.
artsy. Yeah, it's like they're like, oh, it's Japanese, so it's instantly has more art house quality,
Yes,
even
it's
though
more
it's
art house.
not any better than the American one.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing.
Basically, yeah. All right, so I think that's our review for Dark Water, not to be
Yes.
confused with Dark Waters. Apparently, it's a totally unrelated movie from
Yeah, the
last
new one.
year,
It's
two
like that
years
just
ago.
came out.
So yeah, so if you want to see Dark Water, you can do that. The American one is on
Yeah,
HBO Max.
HBO Max. If you want to watch the JRPG, the JRPG, the J horror one compared to the like, it's the same movie. It's like just watch the American version because it's literally the same movie with the exception of a couple scenes are different.
Pretty much, the American one's on HBO Max. The Japanese one's on nothing, and
Yeah.
you have
It
to
was like
rent it.
99 cents off of Amazon Prime, so I mean it's not that bad, but
No, yeah, but
at least
we
at the
had
time
to.
of this recording, it was 99 cents.
Yeah, it changes constantly, but we had to rent the Japanese one because it wasn't on any active streaming service that we had anyway.
Yeah.
But the American one's on HBO Max,
Yeah,
at
HBO
least
Max American one.
at the moment.
Which that's like I guess me and you probably both the American one was better, so
Yeah.
you probably just watch
Yeah,
the
you
American
just
one.
watch the American one on HBO Max. All right, so that is our view on Dark Water. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this in the future. And you too could feel the strength welling within. See you.
See ya.